If you think you've seen entitled parents before, wait until you hear about the day a spoiled Karen's son smashed my 8-year-old's head. And what happened next when they found out who his mother really is, because this isn't just a story of anger, it's a story of justice, karma, and the kind of twist you'll never see coming. So make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and stay with me through every shocking detail, because once it unfolds, you're going to feel the same fire in your chest that I did that day when everything turned upside down in the most unexpected way. So here's how it all happened. It was a quiet Saturday morning and my 8-year-old son, Ethan, was at the local park playing on the swings, the kind of morning you imagine as safe and happy. The sun was out, kids were laughing, parents were scattered across the benches, chatting or sipping their coffee, and for once I felt a sense of peace, because life lately had been a whirlwind of stress with work deadlines and bills piling up. So seeing him laugh as he pumped his legs on the swing gave me a moment to breathe. But then out of nowhere came the kind of interruption you never want to see. A shrill, piercing voice shouting, "Hunter, get on that swing right now. Don't let anyone tell you no. You deserve it." And in walked a woman who could only be described as the human embodiment of entitlement. Oversized sunglasses, loud designer clothes that clashed, hair sprayed so stiff it could survive a hurricane. And behind her was a boy, maybe 10, bigger than Ethan, heavier too, with this smug grin plastered on his face like he already owned the whole park. And of course, this was Karen and her spoiled brat son, the pair that would flip my day upside down. So Hunter stomped over to the swings and without a word grabbed the chains of Ethan's swing while my son was still on it, yanking it to the side so hard that Ethan nearly flew off. And when my son protested, saying politely, "I was here first, you can have a turn after me," the boy sneered, "Shut up, loser, I get whatever I want." And then in the blink of an eye, he shoved the swing forward with such force that Ethan's head smacked against the metal pole nearby with a sickening thud, the sound that makes a parent's blood run cold. And for a second I froze, my heart pounding so loud I couldn't hear anything else. Then I rushed forward as Ethan screamed in pain, clutching his head, and blood began to trickle down from a cut near his temple, and I scooped him up in my arms while shouting, "What is wrong with you? He's just a little kid." But before I could even process my rage, Karen herself stormed over, not to apologize, not to check if my son was okay, but to flip her hair and snarl at me, "Excuse me, don't you dare raise your voice at my son. Your brat was hogging the swing. Hunter has every right to it. Maybe you should teach your kid to share." And the audacity nearly knocked the breath out of me, because here was my child bleeding in my arms and this woman was acting like her son was the victim. And people in the park were starting to gather, some parents gasping, some whispering, but Karen didn't care. She doubled down, pointing a manicured finger at me and saying, "If you touch my son or try to blame him for your weakling getting hurt, I'll have the police on you so fast you won't know what hit you." And that's when I knew this wasn't just a spoiled kid problem. This was a rotten apple raised by a rotten tree. But little did she know, I wasn't just another helpless parent she could bulldoze, because while she saw me as just another tired mom at the park, what she didn't know, and what would soon come crashing down on her entitled head, was that I had connections, powerful ones, because Ethan's grandmother, my mother, wasn't just anyone. She was Judge Margaret Steele, one of the toughest, no-nonsense judges in the state, the kind of woman who had dismantled corporations, put corrupt officials behind bars, and had an entire courthouse trembling when she walked in. But of course I wasn't about to reveal that right there in the park. No, I had to play this carefully. So I told Karen, "We're going to the hospital now, and then I'll be pressing charges. Your son assaulted mine." And Karen laughed, actually laughed in my face, saying, "Oh honey, good luck with that. My brother is on the police force. We'll see who wins in court. You'll regret messing with us." And she strutted off with Hunter like they'd just won something. And as I carried Ethan to the car, my hands trembling with both fear and fury, I promised myself this wouldn't end here, because I had watched too many people like her stomp over others, convinced they were untouchable, and it was time someone reminded her that the law doesn't bend for bullies no matter how loud they scream. So we got to the ER and Ethan was stitched up. Thankfully the scan showed no serious damage beyond a concussion, but seeing him so small and fragile in that hospital bed lit a fire in me, and when he whispered, "Mom, why did that boy do that? I didn't do anything wrong," my heart broke, but I told him, "Sometimes people hurt others because they think they're powerful, but don't worry, we're going to make this right." And that night I made the call to my mother, explaining everything, And when she heard it, her silence was sharper than any words, until finally she said, "Bring me the details, I'll handle it." And that's when I knew Karen's world was about to collapse, because my mother wasn't just a judge, she was the type who despised entitled arrogance more than anything, and Hunter's little stunt was about to become the lesson of a lifetime. So the next few days unfolded like a storm. Police reports were filed, witnesses from the park gave statements, and while Karen tried to throw her weight around at the station, name-dropping her brother on the force, it didn't matter, because Judge Steele had already ensured the case was being escalated, and soon enough, Karen found herself not just dealing with me, but staring down a formal investigation into her parenting and her son's behavior. And here's where the twist really cut deep. Turns out Hunter had a history. Several complaints from his school about bullying, a couple of neighborhood incidents swept under the rug because of Karen's intimidation tactics, and once the spotlight was on them, everything she thought she had buried came spilling out. The school board got involved, child services opened a file, and suddenly the woman who had laughed in my face was begging for mercy, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. But the thing about justice is, once it starts rolling, it doesn't stop just because you cry. And when the court date came, the courtroom was packed. Reporters even sniffed it out because entitled parent dramas have a way of catching attention, and there stood Karen in her gaudy clothes looking less like a queen and more like a crumbling facade, while my mother, Judge Steele, presided over the hearing with the kind of icy composure that made everyone shiver. And when Karen realized who the judge was, her face drained of color, her confidence shattered, and she stammered, "Why, you're his grandmother." And my mother simply replied, "I am, and today you will learn accountability." And the trial unfolded with every witness, every report, every shred of her arrogance being peeled away until finally the verdict was read. Hunter would be placed under mandatory counseling and behavioral correction programs, Karen fined heavily and placed under parental scrutiny, and their record would be closely monitored. And in that moment, as Karen broke down screaming that it wasn't fair, that we had ruined her life, my mother looked her dead in the eyes and said, "You ruined your life by thinking the rules didn't apply to you. Today you learn they apply to everyone." And walking out of that courtroom holding Ethan's hand, seeing him smile again, I knew that sometimes karma doesn't need to wait. Sometimes it comes swiftly and with a gavel. And though I don't celebrate another's misery, I did celebrate justice being served, because no one, no matter how entitled, gets to hurt a child and walk away smiling.